here in just a couple of minutes.
Thank you. Let's bring in meteorologist Stephen Nairns as we talk about how this weather is impacting your drive this morning.
It's going to be a pretty rough one. I mean, the main message we've been kind of saying here is don't get fooled into thinking that we're kind of back to normal, because you're going to get out on some of those main highways and see some pretty nicely plowed lanes in many of the main Tulsa highways. But with the freezing rain falling on top of that, it's causing slick spots. So this is the bridge, the Highway 169 bridge in Owasso, going from about 86th to 76th Street north. We've had several spinouts. See, this one's getting cleaned up right now, but there's been several spinouts on that stretch of the highway in Owasso over the last hour or so. And as we've been keeping you updated on, we're going to get more details on this here momentarily. Northbound Highway 75 approaching I-44 is a no-go right now due to an accident that has closed down the highway. So if you're coming out of Jinx or Tulsa Hills, you got to find a different route. You get Owasso 169 slow going. Most highways, as you would expect, are obviously not at the normal speed this morning. I definitely wouldn't recommend a normal speed if you're heading out right now. Owasso, it's about an 18-minute drive. B.A. Lynn Lane, 16 minutes. Tulsa Hills, again, you want to avoid that altogether because of the highway closure there. And again, 50-mile-an-hour average speed showing up, Owasso and B.A., but I would take it slower than that.
We've got a crew right there at that location that Stephen's talking about on Highway 75 northbound at I-44.
News on 6's Cal Day. He's live there. He's going to join us now with the latest information. Cal.
Well, Tesla, good morning. Highway 75 northbound I-44 still shut down right now. I'm here with Sergeant Scott Skapansky with the Tulsa Police Department. Sergeant, just walk us through kind of the minutes that you got to the call and what you're dealing with here this morning.
We had a 5-vehicle collision right in the construction zone, almost directly over I-44. It's got the highway completely shut down. We're in the process of getting the vehicles towed out of the way so we can open the highway back up.
And tell us about any injuries and anything.
There was one driver transported to an area hospital, but nothing life-threatening or anything like that.
And we kind of can see the blacktop. We've been talking about how icy it's starting to get now with this freezing drizzle coming back in. What's kind of your warning for drivers right now?
If at all possible, stay home. And if you do have to get out, drive incredibly slowly because it is very slick out here.
And then traffic being asked to divert at West 71st Street. Any idea the timetable of getting Highway 75 reopened here?
I'm hoping to have the highway reopened here in about the next 30-45 minutes. Record drivers are on scene and they're working as fast as they can.
And we're now seeing ODOT crews come through with their sand trucks. Was that something that was requested by you guys, and what was the reason for that request?
Both us and the fire department requested because as we've been standing out here, the highway is getting noticeably slicker, so we want to avoid having another one of these, so we wanted to get at least some ice or some salt down on these icy roads.
Sergeant Skapansky with the Tulsa Police Department. Conditions still beginning to deteriorate, and this accident here hopefully to get cleaned up within the next half hour to an hour. Live in Tulsa, Cal Day, Oklahoma's Own is on 6.
Cal, thank you for that update. And our crews are spread out across Green Country this morning.
News on 6's Brooke Griffin joins us down the turnpike in Muskogee with an update. Good morning.
Well, good morning, guys. I am down here in Muskogee, like you said, for the past, well, over 24 hours now, keeping an eye on these conditions. Now, I was talking to the county and the city crews both yesterday, trying to figure out what are some of those bad spots here in Muskogee that they just always have a rough time with. This is one of them. You can see this is Country Club Road, specifically North Country Club Road. It's right off Highway 62, I believe it is. Now, they already have this hill blocked off. There is a sign at the top of the hill as well. They don't want people coming down it. They don't want people going up it. Either one, they say that this is one of their worst spots. No matter what kind of precipitation, they always have some issues with it in the winter here. They are detouring over off to the right here onto North Street. You can turn around there, you can end up detouring either way, but they say as long as this looks the way it does, completely white, completely covered, they're going to have it closed. Now, this isn't the only area that is closed. This is one of the main ones. The Honor Heights area is also closed. We're going to head up to that spot for our next hit. If you guys want to catch us in the next hour, we are going to check that out too. This isn't very well traveled. This is an area that we haven't seen quite a few people coming through, at least at this time, but they say it is very residential. So there are people that live here and may be stuck in their driveway or at their houses, at least for the time being. Live in Muskogee, Brooke Griffin, Oklahoma's Own News on 6.
Thank you, Brooke. And our team coverage takes us south to McAllister, monitoring the road conditions for you there.
News on 6's Sawyer Bussey joins us live with an update. Sawyer?
Well, good morning, Tess and Leanne. Right now, these roads are slick, slick, slick. If you can stay home, please do. But I want to take a second and appreciate a very special group of men and women here in McAllister. I think we've got some photos for you. These are nurses and doctors at McAllister Regional, the hospital here in town. They actually slept overnight at work. You can see some of the nurses and doctors in hospital beds. They slept overnight because they were worried that if they went home, the roads might get so bad they wouldn't be able to come back to work. This is the kind of dedication that doctors and nurses are showing here in McAllister Regional for their patients. I just had to take a second and appreciate them, shout them out for their good work. Also, I called McAllister Police this morning, and they told us that they haven't worked any major accidents overnight, so it's good news all the way around here in McAllister. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Sawyer, and of course, always thank you to the folks who are working out in these conditions. We're going to check in with Alan Crone, also working in these conditions at 7:08 right now.
Take a look at this shot here from downtown Tulsa. Cloud deck is lowering, drizzle and mist, and again, this can give you some very slick spots very quickly if you're not careful. Straight to the forecast. We're in the teens right now. I don't think we're going to change the temperature too much this morning. Second half of the day, we will have some improvement. North winds are not nearly as strong this morning as we had yesterday. Between now and let's say 10 to 11 o'clock, that's going to be our higher probability for some light freezing precipitation. It's mostly, unfortunately, freezing rain and drizzle. It's going to freeze on contact. It will not be in every single location. Then it starts to thin out and move east. Between the noon, 1, 2, and 3 o'clock time period, the far northern part of the state, some of that will try to flip over to a little bit of snow shower activity. That'll move out. 7, 8, 9 o'clock tonight, the clouds will clear. So I'm going to show you the radar. This is very light precipitation right now, and unfortunately, you heard Cal Day talking about it a while ago. I mean, this can quickly put that glaze on the road, and if you're not careful here, it'll ruin your day. So light precipitation near and north. Out to the west, we have a little bit near Shamrock, and then between Waletka, Henrietta, Okmulgee, the Wagoner area, this is going to be more of the zone that will start to see some small shower activity developing, but it will freeze on contact. So we're seeing some of that now getting closer into the Grand Lake area and then southward. Pretty spotty still, but we'll anticipate more of that. And this will also go through this process through the morning hours. It'll flip over occasionally to some sleet pellets and then even a little snow shower activity before exiting the area. Trackers are out this morning just monitoring things. Brandon Wells in the Choctaw area of Ancaster near Warner, Tim Crone and Morris, and the Okmulgee vicinity, JD and McManus near Muskogee. And again, a lot of the roadways at times will look fine, but some of the roads do have that thin layer of freezing drizzle that's already on the roadway this morning. Winter storm warnings do remain through the day. They'll set to expire at 6 o'clock. Icing amounts, Coffeyville, Bartlesville, Tulsa, Bristow, Pawhuska, all in this area. A glaze is a likelihood for the early morning hours. Locations along and east of Highway 69, that's where there will be a higher precipitation rate through the morning hours. The extreme eastern sections will have the highest of all, and that'll move out. Sleet potential, and we see a little bit of that, but nothing too significant. As the day progresses late this afternoon, a little snow shower activity, and it'll wind this system down. We're at 20 right now, wind chill at 11. We'll have more on the timeline. Better news for Friday and beyond in just a couple of minutes.
Slightly better than yesterday, but it's still wind chills in the single digits in most spots. Again, temperatures teens and 20s, wind chills single digits and low teens. So through the midday hours, here comes this second wave developing. Mostly light from Tulsa to the west, and after about 9 to 10 o'clock in the metro, it tapers off. But then from McCown to Eufaula, Muskogee, Tahlequah, 9, 10, 11 o'clock this morning, some bursts of heavy precip. By this afternoon, moves off into Arkansas. That'll be just about it from the steady precip standpoint. Temperatures, though, still staying well below freezing in most spots this afternoon. So the icing potential will continue into tonight with refreezing, with lows in the teens and single digits. Highs Friday back near freezing, trying to thaw out a little more. Still cold, though, Friday into Saturday. Looks like a better thawing out trend, though, for the second half of the weekend by Sunday, and then back to spring next week.
Thank you, Stephen, and Alan from the Bob Mills Weather Center. 7:20 right now. Russia's invasion of Ukraine is happening now, already claiming the lives of many. After the break, Putin's threat to other countries about interfering.
Lori Fulbright, fighting for you, only on Oklahoma's own News on 6.
This remarkable
In South Texas is almost indescribable.
We got 6 to 8 inches of rain.
I'm taking you to a place few people get to see.
Craig Day on Oklahoma.
The winter weather that we're seeing across green country, we have crews across northeastern Oklahoma. Alan Crone, we'll get started though with a look at this latest round of weather.
This is the last round with this current winter system. It's going to move out over the next several hours. It's mostly light around the Tulsa area to the west, and it's picking up this morning across far southern and eastern Oklahoma, where there's going to be some heavier downpours. So what we're going to do is take the radar and change the mask. In other words, we're just going to make it look like you would normally see it here with shower activity developing. So I do want to point out these are showers. These are actually almost thunderstorms that are developing this morning south of 10 Killer, north of Stigler, and then a batch of showers near Bixby southward to Okmulgee to Henrietta. And just like yesterday, when we had thunder sleet, we have some thunder freezing rain potential in some of these areas. That's a heavy downpour south of 10 Killer. The temperature is well into the lower 20s and upper teens. That's going to freeze on contact. That's freezing rain. Veneta, Pryor, Adair, Choctaw, it's mostly light mist and drizzle. Same thing around Bartlesville to Tulsa, but this will pick up over the next hour or two and then continue to move to the east. So freezing drizzle, some rain nearby between 11 and noon. Almost all of this is moving out or east of our immediate area. Between the noon to 2 and 3 o'clock hour, Part of this will try to flip over to a little bit of light snow shower activity, nothing too significant. And then later tonight, clearing and cold. So we've got our folks out, of course, traveling this morning. Brandon Wells near the Shodo area. Tim Crone near Okmulgee, where we do have some light precipitation developing. Von Castor near Warner on I-40. And Bob Roloff is near the Jennings area. And J.D. McManus with some light showers near Muskogee. But again, heavier precipitation now starting to pick up across eastern and southern Oklahoma. More on that in just a few minutes.
All right. Thank you, Alan.
Tulsa police have just reopened Highway 75 there at I-44 after that big backup throughout the morning.
News on 6's Cal Day there now. He joins us live with the update.
Well, Tess Land, this road just reopening here in about the last 10 to 15 minutes. Tulsa police have cleared the area after getting the tow trucks in here and getting the 5 cars that they say were involved in this pileup out of the area. So you can see right now, traffic is moving pretty normally. They also brought an ODOT sand crew to go ahead and spread that brine mixture over the roadway here. The officer that we spoke with said that conditions are deteriorating quickly. We are experiencing that light freezing drizzle, and it looks a little deceptive when you can see the actual road that things are just fine. But as you saw earlier, when those 5 cars piled up, does not take much for that drizzle to really kick in and cause some slick conditions. And I'm seeing a lot of drivers that are driving pretty normally, and I would just advise everyone to take it a little bit more slow. Live in Tulsa, Cal Day, Oklahoma's own, he's on 6.
Absolutely. Want to give yourself lots of time this morning. 7:32, meteorologist Stephen Nairns is going to give us a wider scope of the traffic throughout the area.
And what Cal said is right on the money. You've got to really use even more caution, I'd say, this morning, because some of those highways, as you mentioned, have gotten cleared fairly nicely from the sleet yesterday. But with all the freezing drizzle, freezing rain now falling, slick spots are even more quickly developing. So it's still slick and hazardous this morning. It'll look deceptively okay on the highways, and then you could hit a slick spot in no time. So Cal just mentioned, you can see northbound Highway 75 now flowing again, but flowing slowly. And near I-44. Now, this is looking out of Owasso, kind of low visibility shot here. And Highway 169 out of Owasso has had quite a few spinouts and accidents this morning, and it is really slow going through there. They've gotten a lot of them cleaned up pretty quickly. But again, Owasso, your drive is really sluggish right now because of many accidents on the highway. And we've had several other spots in and around the Keystone Expressway and I-244 with accidents reported as well. So those are starting to pile up as more folks get on the road. So you got to plan for a lot of extra time. Owasso, your drive currently at about 20 minutes. Claremore, 30 minutes. Skiatook, 24 minutes. We're showing average speeds around 50 miles per hour. I would caution you to probably take it slower than that.
All right, thank you, Stephen. Our reporters are hard at work across green country, keeping an eye on the roads this morning.
We're going to check in with News on 6's Mallory Thomas. She's in the metro as well. Mallory, tell us where you are and what you're seeing.
Hey, Tess and Leanne. Well, we are leaving Catoosa. We're about to approach the Creek Turnpike. We have driven on 169, 44, and we're kind of seeing a lot of different things. We're seeing roads are clear for the most part, but still take things slow. We've dropped our speeds about 10, 15 miles per hour under the normal speed limit. Most of the cars are going pretty slow also. We've seen some cars that have crashed and they've just left the cars there on the side of the road, so be mindful of those also. It looks like we might be getting a little bit of rain that's coming in now, so that's going to be hitting the ground and then just freezing, creating more ice, so just be mindful of that as you're driving around town this morning.
Mallory, we are going to turn our attention now to our team down in Henrietta that are looking at road conditions down there.
News on 6's Amy Slanchik has the latest on how things look around the I-40 corridor. Amy?
Hey, Tess and Leanne. Yeah, you may not be able to see it, but there's a very, very light precipitation coming down just in the last 10 minutes or so. It's really gone in waves where it picks up and I'm thinking, okay, we got to get ready. Here it comes. And then it goes away. So it's kind of an ebb and flow of that sleet. I want to show you a little bit of what we're seeing on the ground. This is, of course, all from yesterday, and give you a listen there of how that sounds. It's definitely packed in there. And here comes a car. We'll see how they're doing, a truck, how they're doing there on the side street, moving along just fine. Of course, just taking it easy this morning. And yesterday, Henrietta police said they didn't respond to any wrecks in town, so that's wonderful. And of course, with I-40 right over here, we didn't actually hear of any issues in this part of the interstate right here in this Henrietta, Okmulgee County area. So as far as right now, things are looking good. Back to you guys.
All right, hopefully the trend of no crashes in Henrietta continues. Thank you, Amy. State troopers say the best thing drivers can do if they do have to get out is buckle up and slow down.
All of the crashes that we see during winter precip can be mitigated by your speed. If you'll just slow down, create distances. If you're in even a slow speed crash, that is survivable. If you don't have your seatbelt on and you get ejected out of the car, your chances of not surviving even a slow speed are greatly diminished.
OHP responded to more than 350 crashes during the last winter storm.
More than 100 schools are closed or have moved to distance learning today. Jenks is closed, while large districts like Broken Arrow and Union, they are in distance learning. Tulsa was already scheduled out this week for their midwinter break, so they're not on the list. But you can check the latest scrolling at the bottom of the screen or the full list at our website at newson6.com.
And a number of flights are canceled out of TSA this morning as well. And in Oklahoma City, you can get online and check your flights if you have one this morning. At 7:37, we're going to send it over to Alan Crone, check the weather. And more precipitation coming right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's starting to pick up in spots this morning. You know, Amy said that it was just kind of coming down around Henrietta. We're anticipating in the next couple of minutes there could be some heavier downpours near Henrietta. We've got some very light drizzle and mist right now across the metro, but that's freezing on contact. Even light precipitation with temperatures in the teens and lower 20s, as you well know, very and highly problematic. So our probability here in the Tulsa area, 7 to 10 o'clock, is pretty high. Mostly light around Tulsa. That is not the case to the south and east, where heavier downpours of showers are underway with some sleet mixture, and that's going to freeze on contact. Between the 10 and noon hour, we think a lot of this will be east of our immediate region, right on the Oklahoma-Arkansas state line area. The very far northern Oklahoma area into southern Kansas, between the noon, 1, 2, and 3 o'clock hour, we call this the wraparound on the backside of the trough. There could be a little bit of light precip, maybe a little bit of light snow shower activity. Clouds will clear later tonight. So I'm going to show you the radar. Okay, we're going to take off the wintry type look that we've been showing you and just show you this is what you would kind of typically look like on the radar when we're tracking some showers and even garden variety thunderstorms. These are heavy downpours this morning near 10 Killer South, right on I-40, and then this is developing. So from Wetumpka, there's Henrietta, Okmulgee, and even just south of Tulsa to Coweta. Those are going to be some moderate downpours of rain and some sleet mixture. That will freeze on contact. That's moving east-northeast pretty rapidly. There's some drizzle around the Sperry area and mist, and then to the west, it's already starting to kind of thin out just a little bit. So this is very light precipitation around Tulsa. It's going to freeze on contact. Areas to the north, some drizzle and mist around Miami to Fairland. Areas to the south, this is heavier downpours that are starting to develop. Even some sleet. So the icing potential roughly from Highway 75, Highway 69 to the east will be greatest this morning. All other locations will have to deal with a glaze. Brandon Wells in the Choctaw vicinity, these are slick roadways this morning and had a little bit of drizzle and mist early. Bob Roloff is near Owasso. And again, we'll be tracking for us early. And then Von Castor near Sequoyah on 40, you can see some light precipitation on his windshield. And Tim Crone this morning near the Okmulgee area, he's about to move back into the city on the viaduct there, moving into the southern sections of the Okmulgee County area. J.D. McManus is in Wagoner. So the roadways, again, some of them look fine, but they've got that small layer of drizzle and mist. And in other spots, the precip is coming down at a higher clip. All right, I know that's a lot right now. We'll have more specifics on the timeline, and Stephen has more on the forecast in a couple of minutes.
Sounds good. Thank you. It's 20 minutes till 8 as winter weather moves through green country this morning. You can get the latest information for your neighborhood by downloading our News on 6 weather app. It is super simple and very beneficial.
And of course, keeping you updated on those drive times and a lot of accidents popping up this morning. More details coming up.
Celebrating 20 years of keeping Oklahomans safe and
Around the radar for me here in just a second. I do want to show you from Ramona to Sperry to Tulsa. Now, I've taken the wintry precipitation look off of this so you can just kind of see. This is some shower activity, some drizzle, some mist. It's going to freeze on contact. But look what's happening here. Do you see that? I mean, that's moderate to heavy downpours. There will be some freezing rain, some sleet pellets mixed in with that, and a lightning strike or two cannot be ruled out. So that's from Wagoner to Fort Gibson to Choctaw to Pryor. The temperatures here, upper teens, lower 20s. It's going to freeze on contact. To the south, here's Henrietta, right along I-40. Again, shower activity developing, freezing on contact. McAllister, rain just a little bit west of you. That'll quickly move in and out of the city, freezing on contact. Lake Tenkiller, look at this. This is basically a thunderstorm that's developing right now from Tenkiller south. That's going to move east-northeast to Stillwell. It's going to freeze on contact. So remember yesterday morning we said we thought this morning across the far southern and eastern areas that the icing potential would come up a little bit. Unfortunately, that's going to be the case for the next 2 to 3 hours. Let's check in with our trackers very quickly for an update. Here's Bob Roloff near Owasso. Bob, your report this morning.
Hey, Alan. I've come up 169 from 244. It's flowing pretty good right now. We had a couple slide-offs earlier. They've been taken care of. People do need to slow down because we do have a layer of ice on top of the pavement right now. So we have 45, 50 miles an hour. Anything above that, you probably get a risk sliding out. Back to you, Alan.
All right, Bob, appreciate it. Tim Crone, there's Shelter. Tim, your report.
Alan, we just went through one of the heavier bands of sleet. It was starting to impact the roads again, covering it up. We're in between now. There's a big band coming up just to our south. We'll let you know on that one. But just intermittent sleet bands right now. Alan, back to you.
All right, Tim, appreciate it. And let me get the computer a second here. J.D. McManus near the Wagoner area. Hi, J.D.
Hey, Alan. Yeah, we're on 50. We're getting ready to turn on 51 and head west towards Quita where there's a heavier band passing through. But we've been getting a few little passing showers, and that's freezing on contact. The Highway 69 is somewhat clear. People are driving too fast. It's going to go downhill again, so if you're at home watching, get ready. Conditions are about to get worse in this area as passing rain showers move through and freeze on the roadways. Alan, back to you.
Thank you. Vaughn Castor near Warner on 40. Vaughn.
Yeah, I'm approaching where this heavier band went across 40, so as soon as I get some more information on it, I will be back with you, Alan.
I appreciate it. And last check, Brandon Wells, you've got precipitation near Choctaw. Good morning, Brandon.
Yeah, Alan, we just encountered a convective band. We were, I would say it was moderate freezing rain coming down here in Choctaw. And maybe some small pea-sized hail may have been mixed in there with that as well, Alan. But, yeah, it's very freezing on contact for sure. Back to you.
All right, Brandon. Stephen Neritz, what's coming up after this?
Well, again, fortunately, the good news is that by late morning, this is quickly moving out. So this round won't last quite as long as yesterday morning's round. But the next few hours, icing is a big concern, especially where we have those moderate bursts of sleet and freezing rain. By this afternoon, there will still be, kind of like yesterday afternoon, some lingering snow flurries, snow showers that'll be light in a few spots. So a glaze of ice possible just about anywhere. Still could be a quarter of an inch of ice or so of accumulation, ice accumulation in far southeastern, far eastern Oklahoma, say from about Muskogee to Tahlequah and further east. And then areas that see a burst of sleet, it won't be everywhere. There could be another quarter of an inch of sleet in some spots and a trace to half an inch of snow possible on the back end this afternoon. So not huge amounts, but enough to be impactful. We're sitting at about 20 degrees with a wind chill of about 10 right now across the metro, across all of eastern Oklahoma. So again, timeline-wise, now through about 10 to 11 o'clock is the main burst with this round. And even Tulsa, it'll probably come to an end before that, but further east through the late morning hours, that'll continue this afternoon, winding down, but we're still staying in the 20s for highs later today here in Tulsa. Near 10 degrees tomorrow morning, a high Friday near freezing, and then slowly thawing out, especially by the second half of the weekend.
Thank you, Stephen and Alan from the Bob Mills Weather Center. It is 7:50 right now. We are continuing team coverage on this winter storm in our next hour.
Yeah, before we wrap up, though, we'll check back in on the traffic. And I tell you, if you are having to get out today, be extra careful. It is super slick in spots, and it can just really mess up your day. We'll be back, though, with more of 6 in the morning after this.
Oklahoma's own Craig Day.
Thousands of them are rounded up. The rain just simply has not let up.
An Oklahoma sailor who's serving aboard this amazing ship.
And you can always send them at pics@newson6.net. All right, Alan.
Unfortunately, we have got some pretty heavy shower activity developing to the south and east. You see that? That is heavy rain and sleet. That's going to freeze on contact. The good news, it's moving pretty quickly. We'll have more on this situation in the next hour. See you soon.
Sounds like a plan. Our next hour, we're going to continue our team coverage right here on Channel 6 and this round of wintry weather.
As the winter weather moves into green country or moves in again, don't forget to grab our app.
Order up. Sonic Patty Melt.
Roto-Rooter tips to protect your home from the Oklahoma cold weather.
Disconnect your outdoor hose and cover the water valve. Know where your water meter is located in case you need to turn it off in an emergency. On a raised foundation home, make sure the vents are closed under the house to help insulate the pipes. Leaving town? Turn off the water to your home so if pipes do freeze, you will have far less damage. Leave cabinet doors open under your kitchen or bathroom sinks to allow warm air to circulate around the pipes.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
A thin, painted line. The only thing between you and a life-changing accident. But are these lines enough? A Subaru with eyesight watches the lines for any danger. It can automatically stop itself.
Is everyone okay? I'm okay.
Your family is safer in a 3-row Subaru Ascent. Love, it's what makes Subaru, Subaru.
Maintain the love of your new Subaru with 2 years of complimentary.
Oklahoma's own News on 6 starts now with winter weather.
First at 8 here on Channel 6, another round of winter weather is starting to blanket green country.
The wintry weather is leading to dangerous driving conditions from Tulsa to Muskogee and kind of everywhere in between. Good morning. Welcome to 6 in the morning on Channel 6 and the Tulsa CW. I'm Tess Monty.
I'm Dave Davis. We have crews all across the area to bring you live team coverage this morning as we're seeing the white stuff on the ground. We want to begin with Alan Crone in the Bob Mills Weather Center. Alan.
Yeah, earlier this morning we had mostly very light precipitation around the metro to the west. In the last 30 to 40 minutes, we can clearly see that next wave of energy that's pushing through eastern Oklahoma. We've taken the part of the radar to kind of show you the wintry look and just put it back to where you could see what would normally be shown on a spring-like day. I mean, these are heavy downpours Some of this is going to have sleet involved. A lot of this is going to have rain that will freeze on contact. So from Henrietta to Haskell to the Wagoner area, Choctaw and Pryor and Spavinal, this is moving quickly northeast. If there's any good news here, these are moving very fast, 50 to even 60 miles per hour. But this is going to lay down some ice and also some sleet in some locations. So some spots we have freezing drizzle and other spots freezing rain in that mix. It's moving east pretty quickly. We're anticipating that this batch that we're tracking right now between 10 and noon will be mostly out of our immediate area. On the backside of this, later this afternoon, some light mix, some light snow showers, nothing too significant at this point. And then tonight it's going to be clearing and cold. Brandon Wells in the Choctaw area just mentioned a few minutes ago with that little batch that's moved through, that is now a sheet of ice that's on the roadway. Tim Crone near Henrietta along the I-40 corridor. You've got some pockets of moderate to heavy showers, freezing on contact with sleet. Von Caster near the Webbers Falls area at I-40 has been dealing with some of that as well. Bob Roloff near Stone Canyon, closer into the metro. Unfortunately, windshield wipers are working here. JD at McManus east of Coweta, the same thing. So precipitation is not finished with us yet. We still have winter storm warnings. More on the forecast in a couple of minutes.
Thank you, Alan. At 8:01, meteorologist Stephen Narins, he's keeping a close eye on the roads, looking maybe worse than they did yesterday morning?
In a sense, yes, because, I mean, obviously yesterday the sleet fell fast and we had some issues, but folks kind of had some traction. This morning, you know, there's a false sense of security with when you look at the highways and go, okay, that doesn't look too bad, right? But anything that's freezing rain, sleet, whatever's falling is sticking to those roads, those open roads there, and causing numerous spinouts, numerous accidents. That's South Tulsa, looks all right, right? And then Highway 75 approaching I-44, that's open from an earlier accident, but slow going there, and you can tell visibility dropping off at times as well. So overall, you look at the traffic map to start off 8 o'clock, doesn't look that bad, does it? But you know, we've had quite a few accidents, spinouts, and slowdowns depending on where you are across the metro, and still this purple shading here on the road conditions map that indicates snow or really sleet, ice-covered roads across the majority of eastern Oklahoma, especially once you get off the highways. As you know, those are totally sleet-covered. And now through the next few hours, still a rough drive as these bursts of moderate heavy sleet and freezing rain move through. The precip tapers off pretty quickly midday to this afternoon, but the next few hours, you got to use a lot of caution. And like Tess said, almost more slick in some spots right now than it was yesterday morning. Lynn Lane, BA Expressway, 17 minutes to downtown. Tulsa Hills, 11 minutes. Sand Springs, 10 minutes. I'd plan for extra time.
It was not fun driving to work. We have crews all across the area this morning monitoring those road conditions as this wintry mix is settling in.
News on 6's Cal Day is on the road right now. He joins us on the phone with an update. Cal?
Hey, Tess, good morning. We are northbound on Highway 169 coming into Owasso from Tulsa, and we can tell you we are right in the middle of that freezing rain that is now coming down. It is sticking to the windshield quickly and making it really hard to see here on the commute. That's picked up here in about the last 15 minutes. There are some cars on the side of the road along Highway 169. We're also hearing reports of cars on the side of the roads and cars that have hit walls on I-44, so conditions quickly going downhill. I have talked with Owasso police this morning. They tell me they've worked 5 accidents just about since 6:30, and almost all of those are right here on 169. And Owasso police tell me that they are dealing with several motorists that also slid out. The lieutenant boatman who I talked with said that to help people, the roads that they traveled yesterday are a lot worse than they are today. They're a lot much more slick, and crews need a lot of time to catch up, having to deal with response times. But we are starting to see conditions starting to deteriorate here on our commute. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Cal. Our storm team coverage continues now from Muskogee. That's where we find, once again, News on 6's Brooke Griffin. She is there for the second day in a row. And Brooke, how is it looking?
Well, unfortunately, it really does look worse than yesterday. You know, obviously, yesterday it was kind of the buildup through that first system. But now, as we went into the overnight hours, the sun's come back up, it froze back over again. So you can see we found another one of those closed roads over here. Now, this is that Honor Heights area that I was telling you about in the last hit about an hour ago. Now, this leads up to the VA hospital here in Muskogee. You can go the other way on the actual road of Honor Heights, but there are some hills. It does get a little slick. This area, though, however, is completely blocked off. You cannot go up this route, which I believe is maybe Buffalo Road, Buffalo Drive, one of those. That is the area that's blocked off. But if you want to take a look right here down at my feet, this is why. It's because this is just now, it's just straight ice completely. There is a little bit of sand and salt in this area in the turn. You can see it. But unfortunately, it really is just kind of a mess out here in Muskogee at this point. I did just speak with the city a few minutes ago. They say that they are in the middle of a shift change with these plows and those salt and sand trucks. But unfortunately, this really is just a lot of ground to cover, and you have to go back over it several times to really get anywhere. So they say they are working as fast as they can, but with more precipitation now falling as we're speaking, it's pretty rough out here. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Brooke. We also have a team in McAllister monitoring the conditions there.
News on 6's Sawyer Bussey joins us with an update from that community.
Well, thankfully, drivers so far are taking it, well, for the most part, pretty easy this morning. Most of the traffic that we've seen has been semi-trucks, ODOT, or emergency crews. We called McAllister Police. We also called the Pittsburg County Sheriff, and both agencies tell us they haven't worked any major accidents overnight or early this morning, which is really good news. But they do tell me they're spending a lot of time helping drivers who were stuck on the ice. And they're getting stuck on the ice because of spots like this. So right beneath my feet, it looks like just concrete, like this area might be dry, but it's straight ice all the way through. And I've got yak tracks on. So if that tells you how slippery it'd be on your tires or just walking outside, and I think this is a lesson. If you can stay home today, please do it. Don't try to brave the weather. The roads look in some parts like they're going to be okay, but there's slick spots everywhere. It's just not worth the risk today. Back to you guys.
Thank you. More than 100 schools across Green Country are closed or have moved to distance learning today. Here's a couple of them. Some of the big ones: Bixby, Jenks, Broken Arrow, Union, Muskogee, Owasso, Sand Springs, Union. And again, I already said Union, but you can see the mix of distance learning and closures. A full list of schools is scrolling at the bottom of your screen. You can also find a list at the top of our website, newson6.com. Now, just a heads up, Tulsa Public School was out of school already for midwinter break this week, so you will not see them listed.
And new this morning, Tulsa police are investigating a burglary at a gas station near 81st and Sheridan. Police say the alarm was tripped around 4:15 this morning, and cameras caught someone inside the store. Police say the person smashed the front door with a rock but was gone by the time police got there. Officers say the person stole cigarettes. Police say investigators will look at the video to see if it matches any other recent burglaries.
Also new this morning, Tulsa firefighters braved the cold and slick conditions to put out a fire at a house near Admiral in North Yale. Firefighters say it started in the attic and they think the cause was electrical, but that's under investigation. 4 people in the house got out safely. The Red Cross is helping the family find another place to stay.
8:08, Alan Crone joins us now. He's tracking when this final round of winter weather finally moves out.
Yeah, about midday. This is a fast-moving wave that's pushing through right now. Relatively light around Tulsa. That is not the case to the east-southeast. Now through the 9 and 10 o'clock hour will feature the higher probability, and then it quickly starts to drop down. So between the noon 2 and 3 o'clock time period, it'll be like yesterday. Most of it will be gone. Be a little bit of mix, maybe some flurries back behind that. Later tonight, the clouds will clear out. We're going to have north winds not nearly as strong as yesterday. So we're going to take the radar and show you the display that you would just kind of normally see. In other words, we've taken the wintry part off of it here because these are some heavy downpours in spots. Unfortunately, you got temperatures in the teens and 20s, so it's going to freeze on contact. Some of this is rain, some of this is a sleet mixture. We even have some thunder. Yesterday we had thunder sleet. We've got a little thunder sleet and a little thunder freezing rain underway this morning. Here's Locust Grove, Lake Hudson, Spavinal. This is moving quickly to the north and east. You can see Brandon near Pryor and Choctaw. We're going to check with him in a second. JD near Coweta in the heart of this from Wagoner to OK to Muskogee. That again is moving east-northeast. Also south of I-40, Lake Eufaula region, right around Longtown, number 9, McAllister. We've got thunder and lightning in spots. That's moving rapidly east-northeast. That will continue to move to the east, and we have some right on the Oklahoma-Arkansas state line here. How about Tulsa? This is mostly just drizzle and mist around our immediate metro region. Again, heavier precipitation to the south and east where it is falling on contact. Unfortunately, it's those areas right along 69 east, I-40 corridor, east central Oklahoma, could pick up 1/10 of an inch, maybe as high as 1/4 of an inch still of some ice. We just lost Brandon's shot there. So let's check in with Bob Roloff near the Claremore vicinity. Bob, a quick update. Your report for us this morning.
Hey, Alan, I've been getting some pretty heavy freezing drizzle. If you can look at the hood of my car there, you see how much ice is built up on the hood. Getting some of that building up on the trees out here also. So at this point, people need to be very cautious because there's quite a bit of ice building up on the roads that were plowed. Back to you.
Okay, appreciate it. And again, that's what we're seeing right now across northern and eastern Oklahoma with these periods of drizzle, freezing rain, even some thunder and lightning in spots. And the precipitation rate is picking up. Tim Crone there on I-40 and J.D. McManus near the Coweta area. So it's a little dicey in spots this morning, but the good news is it's moving quickly to the east. Stephen Ayers will have more on the forecast in just a couple of minutes.
Alan, thank you very much. Here at 8:11, our team is keeping track of the winter weather, of course, here in Tulsa, all over Green Country, and we will continue that after this break.
Yeah,
In some spots, the drive right now is almost worse than it was yesterday morning when we had the heavy sleet. Of course, it wasn't good yesterday morning, but we've got freezing rain and sleet, some moderate to heavy east of Tulsa that is really causing problems fast. So even where we had clearing on the highways, you really got to take it with a lot of caution this morning. Around Tulsa, there's a look at Riverside. I just want to point that out. You can see the clearing there, but anything that's falling right now, whether it's freezing rain or sleet, is freezing on contact. Same story at the BA Expressway 169, and really that goes for most highways across eastern Oklahoma, and particularly, as we've been showing you on radar, just east of Tulsa, many spots just east of Tulsa from, say, Claremore, east of Claremore, down through Coweta and Wagoner, down into southeastern Oklahoma, getting some pretty heavy freezing rain and sleet that is causing roads to become hazardous in a very quick hurry. So be prepared for that this morning. Here in Tulsa, obviously, extra time needed. Glenpool to downtown, about 18 minutes. Creek to the BA, 6 minutes. 151st to the Creek, 11 minutes on Memorial.
Thank you, Stephen. Well, travelers will likely have a hard time getting out of Tulsa International Airport today. American, Delta, Southwest, and United preemptively delayed or canceled many flights yesterday and today. We're looking at the board. I'm looking at it live. Tons of cancellations. It may have been canceled. A few flights, though, are still coming in as scheduled. There are a few, so you really need to check with your carrier. Crews started working around 5 a.m. yesterday to try to keep these runways open. Airlines, again, encourage you with travel plans. Monitor that flight status yourself and check with them.
PSO says nearly 1,000 line workers, tree crews, and other staff are ready to respond to any power outages that may happen today. PSO says that includes 170 line workers from 5 states who started arriving overnight.
Let's take a look at the weather with Alan Crone, Stephen Nairns, both in the Bob Mills Weather Center for us, keeping track of what's going on.
This wave, the last one of this system, is moving rapidly east. Now, we'll have some improvement in terms of precipitation around the Tulsa metro pretty quickly over the next hour, hour and a half. It's mostly light drizzle. It's going to freeze on contact. To the south and east, that's a totally different story. So we've taken the radar, we've taken the wintry look off of it, so you just kind of see. These are heavy downpours. It's mostly freezing rain. There's some sleet mixed in with some of that. Temperature in the upper teens, lower 20s, so that's freezing on contact. This entire wave is moving rapidly to the east. We're anticipating between 10 and 11. It's going to be in Arkansas, and then this will be gone. The only thing left over will be some light precipitation, kind of like we had yesterday across the far northern areas. Tahlequah, heads up. We think in the next 30 to 40 minutes, you got a batch of freezing rain and sleet that's going to move in. Same thing, Sallisaw, Wilburton as well. Tulsa to the west, the heavier precipitation is going to stay east of us, but we do have the potential for some drizzle and mist that's coming down. Let's check in with Tim Crone. He is west of Choctaw this morning. Tim, a quick update.
Yeah, Alan, on I-40 here, we do hit those bands of heavier sleet, and like you said, occasionally it's very heavy freezing rain. The roads here are not too bad. There's enough traffic on it to keep them clean, but there are patchy places back west under the heaviest precipitation where the road conditions deteriorate quite rapidly. So just keep an extra eye on that, but folks are moving okay for through here, just waiting on these next little bands. Back to you.
All right, Tim, appreciate it. J.D. McManus, east of Coweta. J.D., I was watching your shot about 30 minutes ago. Those roadways were clear. That is not the case now.
Yeah, it took about 10 minutes for these roads to become ice-covered again. We're in a pretty heavy band of freezing rain. There's been a couple move through here. I just talked to an EMT who rolled his vehicle on his way to work to go help others today. So thank him for getting out. Luckily, his vehicle landed on all fours. He's going to go on to work. Thank you.
Okay, quick, JD, are you having any sleet pellets mixed in with that, or is it just freezing rain right now?
Well, it kind of goes in waves. It started out as freezing rain, then went to sleet, and it just kind of goes back and forth. So it's just really a terrible mixture. It's really made Highway 51 very slick and hazardous again. Probably going to catch some drivers off guard who left when the roads were clear this morning, headed to work. Back to you. All
right, appreciate it. Bob Roloff in the Claremore area. Bob, a quick update from you.
Yeah, light freezing drizzle here. The roads have got quite a bit of sand in the Claremore area, which is helping quite a bit. But you get outside of that area, it is really slick. Back to you, Alan.
All right, and Von Caster, Weber's Falls. Von.
Yes, this is where that heavier band went through earlier, and there is another heavier band on its way. So I-40 is a sheet of ice, basically, all the way from Warner, and as far as I've been is Gore. So if you don't have to get out, don't. Back to you, Alan.
right, Vaughn's been keeping us updated. All of our trackers have been going all morning on this. I really appreciate Brandon Wells' round from about prior to Shoto. You can tell, we'll get to Brandon, phone from him in just a few minutes, but you can tell, I mean, as all the guys have been saying, under these heavier bursts, we've gone from clear to sleet and ice covered again in an instant, in about 15-20 minutes. And so if you're traveling east of the Tulsa Metro, travel is going to deteriorate fast for the next few hours. Here in the Metro, Tulsa Metro, we're already getting on the backside of the steadier precip, but we're still seeing some freezing drizzle, some light icing, and then this afternoon, the heavy precip's gone, but we'll still have some lingering snow showers. So glaze of ice pretty much anywhere, but then you get about Highway 69 to the east. Up to 1/4 of an inch of ice is going to be a possibility where there's that heavy freezing rain, and then where there's heavy sleet, there could be another 1/4 of an inch of sleet piling up on top of that, and another dusting to 1/2 inch of snow possible, mostly this afternoon on the back edge of this system. So we're sitting at 20 degrees, a wind chill of 9. That's higher than it was yesterday morning, but it's still bitterly cold, and temperatures around 20 degrees across the entire metro. So timeline-wise, again, Tulsa, steadier precip is moving east. If you are east of Tulsa and southeast from McAllister, Salsa, Eufaula, Tahlequah, the next couple of hours, roads will be pretty bad with that heavier precip moving in and then lightening up this afternoon. We'll still stay in the 20s for highs today, nearing freezing on Friday, still chilly Saturday, and then bouncing back a little more for the latter half of the weekend.
We need to bring these girls home.
Oklahoma's own originals, only on News on 6.
Is your refrigerator making funny noises, or maybe the washer isn't getting the clothes clean? At Hahn Appliance Warehouse, we offer 18-month no-interest financing, our low price guarantee, free delivery, and free haul away. Hahn Appliance Warehouse, online or in stores, put us to the test.
You had me at Allison 10-speed transmission. Premium features available on GMC Sierra Heavy Duty. Step up to GMC with 0% financing on Sierra Heavy Duty models. GMC, we are professional grade.
Some giraffes only sleep 40 minutes a night, but kids, they need 10 to 12 hours. And grown-ups need 7 to 9. If it sounds like a tall order, just start with 1. Get 1 more hour of sleep 1 night a week, and avoid screen time 1 hour before bed. By sleeping better, 1 day at a time, you'll have tons of energy for your next healthy goal. Discover the power of one healthy habit. Visit shapeyourfutureok.com, a program of TSET.
Russian President Vladimir Putin announced the start of the offensive in a pre-dawn speech. Putin said the action was necessary to protect civilians and restore order. He said Russia's goals include the, quote, demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine. Putin called on the Ukrainian military to surrender and warned other nations not to interfere. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky appeared on television as the invasion got underway. He urged people not to panic and said he had just spoken with President Biden. The White House condemned what it called an unprovoked and unjustified attack by Russia. Here at the United Nations, diplomats gathered for an emergency Security Council meeting. It's the Council's second emergency meeting this week on Ukraine.
We're here for one reason and one reason only: to ask Russia to stop.
During last night's session, the Ukrainian ambassador confronted his Russian counterpart.
There is no purgatory for war criminals. They go straight to hell, Ambassador.
The Security Council is expected to vote on a resolution against Russia today. However, it is unlikely to pass because, as a permanent council member, Russia holds veto power. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
President Biden says later today he'll be meeting with the leaders of the G7 and other allies and partners to impose further sanctions on Russia. The president is expected to deliver public remarks on those sanctions this afternoon. Time now is 8:26. Another round of winter weather is impacting Green Country again this morning. Still ahead, our team coverage continues with the latest condition updates from our reporters across the area.
We're seeing the mix of wintry precip. Alan and Stephen tracking when it's going to finally move out and what to expect as the weekend gets closer. We'll be back.
pretty heavy bands. Visibility's down to about a quarter to a half mile at times. When one of these bands come over you, they drop a lot of sleet and ice very quickly. We're going to keep monitoring and watching for power outages. Back to you, Alan.
All right, JD, that's all moving eastward. That's east of the metro. We'll have more for our neighbors to the east in just a couple of minutes.
Alan, thank you. Let's take a look at Wall Street right now. The stock market is open, down big. The Dow is down 761 points. It opened just a few minutes ago. That's off 2 1/3%. Also, the S&P off 100. That's down 2 1/3%. And NASDAQ down 343. That's down 2.6%.
And at 8:32, we'll turn our attention back to the weather and how it's impacting traffic with meteorologist Stephen Nairns.
Well, things are still pretty slick around Tulsa, deceptively slick. We've said that all morning. Again, the example, Highway 169 out of South Tulsa, from this view, it looks pretty good, right? But these areas, these lanes that have been plowed, that have been cleared, have now had ice and freezing rain, sleet freeze on top of them. So even with those clear looking lanes on the highways, there's been ice accumulation. Slick travel will continue, specifically even more so as you head east of Tulsa. It's getting bad in a hurry, as you've seen from our trackers. Lots of slowdowns around Tulsa on the Creek Turnpike, 169, take your pick. And there have been quite a few spinouts as well. And again, as Alan showed you on radar, if you're basically from about, say, Highway 69 to the east, travel is going to be really, really rough for the next few hours from McAllister, Eufaula, up towards Muskogee, approaching Tahlequah soon, up towards Pryor. Those pockets of sleet and freezing rain are accumulating very fast, and roads are going to be treacherous east of Tulsa. Right here in Tulsa, drive times: Owasso about 18 minutes, Claremore 30 minutes, Skytook 26 minutes.
Thank you, Stephen. ODOT and Turnpike crews have been working tirelessly to treat the slick roads.
Yep. Joining us once again on the phone, second day in a row, TJ Gerlach with ODOT and OTA. Good morning, TJ, and give us an update on the roads. In your opinion, highways better or worse than yesterday, and why?
Highways are kind of about the same, mostly because we've gotten the sleet cleared off, but that thin layer of freezing drizzle has just created that thin layer of ice that's making it a little bit hazardous this morning.
You have crews out working right now. They're doing the sand and salt mixture, not plowing just yet. You want to explain that a little bit for us?
Right. With the ice, we want to get down the sand and salt to help people get traction and hopefully get the salt melting, or the ice melting. Once we get a good handle on that, we'll start plowing the areas that have been recovered, as well as the shoulders and ramps and interchanges.
At what point do you get to say to your crews, all right, job well done, time to go home?
We won't be clear until basically no slick spots are reported anywhere.
Sounds like that's going to be a heck of a job. TJ, you were talking yesterday about how your crews got out at something like 5 a.m. yesterday morning. How long have they been going? Tell me about the shifts, how you guys are doing the shifts right now, and just kind of the man and woman power that you have out there at this point.
In the Tulsa metro area, we've got 25 trucks, and they run 12-hour shifts. So I'm not sure what time they started this morning. The crew's out there now, but they're fresh, and they're going to keep going until their shift ends, and then the next one will be on, and we'll keep going until everything's clear.
Well, we certainly appreciate all the work that they do and that you do, TJ. So thank you for joining us here again on 6 in the morning.
Thank you.
We do have crews around Green Country keeping an eye on the roads this morning.
News on 6's Mallory Thomas has been driving around. She's been many different places. And Mallory, what are you up to and what are you seeing?
Hey, Dave. So right now we are on the Creek Turnpike. We're actually coming up, it looks like, to a salt truck maybe. We have some good news. As we were driving westbound, oh, no, this is not a salt truck. It's actually a stalled out car that a tow truck's pulling away. But we do have some good news. So we saw 4 different plows that were out plowing the Creek Turnpike. Those were OTA trucks. They were out here getting this cleared off. There's definitely some spots in BA that you want to be mindful. You definitely want to take things slow. If you can, kind of try to avoid some spots on the turnpike because, it's kind of taking them longer to get out to some of those spots that are more in the rural areas. So just be safe, take things slow, drop your speeds at least 10 miles, if not more, than what your normal speed limit is if you're going to be out driving in this.
Boy, Mallory, thank you for that. And just real tricky there. You know, somebody's trying to get towed off the side of the road. Looks like a salt truck. You just got to be so aware, head on a swivel today. We turn now to our team coverage. Our team down in Henrietta this morning, monitoring what's going on.
News on 6's Amy Slanchik has been there since yesterday. She's got the latest look on the situation there around the I-40 corridor. Hey, Amy.
Hey, Tess and Dave. Yeah, this sleet that's been coming down, it's just confusing because it'll come down and like right now I don't feel anything. And then all of a sudden you'll hear the little pellets hitting my jacket, and then it's just, so it's back and forth. It can't make up its mind. So that's what we're seeing here in Henrietta. And of the few cars we have seen come by, we have seen no trouble. Everyone's kind of making their way through at least these side streets just fine. If you take a look at the accumulation here on the ground, you can hear it. It's icy. It's the same thing we've been saying the past, we add up all of yesterday and today. How many hours have we been out here, Rodney? So anyway, I-40, haven't heard of any issues, and so we'll continue to keep an eye on it and check back with you guys in about an hour. Back to you.
I think confusing is just about right. I mean, Tess, I was coming out of a garage this morning. Again, I'm very happy to have a garage. My windshield's dry, but the car wasn't warm. So then the freezing rain was icing as I was driving.
Yeah, I was lucky. I was just able to brush off my windshield this morning. I didn't have to really scrape, so that was nice. But my windshield wipers were frozen to my truck, so you know, just definitely want to give extra time this morning. 8:38 right now. Hopefully this system is going to be moving out soon. Alan's
yeah, it will be, but it's not fast enough for some of our neighbors to the east. Now the metro. So here we are back around the Tulsa area. We have light precipitation, and the heavier precipitation is now east of Tulsa. But let's check out the radar here, and we're showing you the radar that you would kind of normally see on like a springtime day. These are showers and thunderstorms that are moving quite rapidly east-northeast. Tahlequah, really all the way to the state line, back down through Tahlequah, the Eufaula, Shakota area, and in between Sallisaw and Tenkiller. Lightning and thunder with some of this also, and there will be not only freezing rain, but some of these heavier cores will have sleet in that, and it will come down pretty quickly. For example, let's check in with Vaughn Castor. He is right underneath one of these cores, and Vaughn, it looks like the sleet pellets are piling up here pretty quickly.
Actually, Alan, I started to get some pea-sized hail. I saw one that was just a little bit smaller than dime-sized hail. And there has been several lightning strikes around here, but it is coming down in buckets right now. So travel is going to go to a standstill, I'm afraid, here on I-40. Back to you.
Yeah, okay, Vaughn. That's right along I-40, right on that leading edge of some of that heavier activity. You can see Brandon Wells in the Choteau area. Brandon, a quick update. 20 seconds. What kind of precipitation are you having here in Choteau?
Hey, Stephen, we're getting the same type of thing that Vaughn hit.
Well, Alan, right now we're getting a moderate sleet here in Choteau. Like everybody's been reiterating, the roads have gone from, clear to completely just slick like ice. And so it's coming down really good here in Choteau, and travel is discouraged at this time. Back to you.
Yeah, very messy across the eastern areas. Bob Roloff. Near Sequoyah right now, kind of in between one of those cells. J.D. McManus in the Wagoner area, and he reported a couple of minutes ago he was in some heavy downpours. Look at those roads are really starting to kind of ice up. And Tim Crow, north of Eufaula. Tim, give me an update very quickly. 10 seconds. What do you have?
Yeah, Alan, we are just on the northern edge of a thunderstorm. We've had multiple lightning strikes straight ahead of us on the, I guess it'd be the east end of the lake here. But road conditions are starting to deteriorate badly real quick down here, Alan.
All right, so that's what we're dealing with along and east of Tulsa. Thankfully for the metro, this is mostly light. That is not the case for our neighbors to the east and southeast of us. The good news, it's moving quite rapidly. We'll have more on the radar, more on when this finally moves out. And Stephen Ernst is going to have some pretty good news for the weekend straight ahead of us here.
Thank you, Alan. 8:41 right now. The Oklahoma Highway Patrol has a piece of simple advice for those who have to get out today. We're going to hear from a trooper next. And don't forget, you can keep up with the latest weather information by downloading our free News on 6 weather app.
The Washington, D.C. Bureau with Alex Cameron, only on Oklahoma's own News on 6.
You're up. Sonic Patty Melt.
Celebrate a better night's sleep and save during the extended President's Day Super Sale at Denver Mattress. Right now, save $100 on every $1,000 you spend and watch the savings add up. Or save up to $500 on select Tempur-Pedic mattress sets and get a $300 gift. Save up to $200 on our Doctor's Choice lineup. Or check out the Summit Firm for only $249.99. Plus 7 years no interest financing and free shipping. Hurry, the extended President's Day Super Sale at Denver Mattress ends soon.
Hey, this is Mike at Robinson Air. When you're looking for somebody to service or replace your heating and air conditioning system, you need somebody you can trust. Somebody with quality products at a fair and reasonable price and will be there after the sale. And at Robinson Air, we've been doing that for 59 years. With O&G and PSO rebates and the Train Free Furnace promotion, now is a great time to replace that old rust bucket. So give us a call for your free estimate. That's Robinson Air, and remember, it's hard to stop a train.
The choice is clear, Robinson Air.
Step into the new when you drive a Chevy. It's time for a fresh approach and a new perspective. Meet new friends or reconnect with some old ones and find the Chevy that's right for you. Find new experiences, find new roads. Step into the new with a new Chevy. Very well qualified buyers can get 0% financing on most Chevy vehicles. Plus, on select models, current competitive owners get an additional $750 bonus cash. Chevy drives Oklahoma. Find new roads.
I've been in recovery for 12 years. I've been a peer recovery support specialist for a year. I've seen opioid addiction tear families apart. I've also seen families brought back together because of medication for addiction treatment. I've seen it give people their lives back.
Medications for addiction treatment relieves the physiological cravings, normalizes brain chemistry, and blocks the euphoric effect of opioids. Medications for addiction treatment combined with therapy is highly effective at getting people off opioids and into long-term recovery.
During COVID, we've seen an increase in the number of opioid users. We need more doctors who can provide medication for addiction treatment to help us stop the growing opioid crisis here in Oklahoma. Ask your doctor if they are certified to provide medication for addiction treatment.
Becoming MAT certified is easy. If you're a doctor, go to thinksmartok.org to find out how you can help save lives, heal families, and fight this epidemic.
I feel like they've just...
Morning, if you are east of Tulsa, traffic is a huge mess right now as heavy sleet, heavy freezing rain is falling again. Now in Tulsa, it's lighter amounts, but I'd still ask you to use a lot of caution even in Tulsa this morning. We had some light icing on the roads that's refrozen and it's been slick and hazardous. Now the good news is by midday that's pushing off to the east and tapering off. So it's the next few hours where it's kind of going to be the worst, but it is really rough east of Tulsa. Around the metro, a lot of the normal slowdowns with this weather. But again, as you see here on radar, all these heavy pockets of precip from McAllister, Eufaula, Choctaw up towards 10 Killer, Muskogee, Tahlequah, all the way up to Grand Lake. That is really heavy precip. It is accumulating extremely quickly on all the roads. So that Highway 69 to the east, you're going to have to really be careful with travel the next few hours. Here in Tulsa, B.A. Lynn Lane, 16 minutes to downtown. Tulsa Hills, 10 minutes, and Sand Springs, 9 minutes.
Stephen, thank you all morning for the updates. Well, state troopers say the best thing drivers can do, of course, is to buckle up, it's the law, and slow down.
All of the crashes that we see during winter precip can be mitigated by your speed. If you'll just slow down, create distances. If you're in even a slow speed crash, that is survivable. If you don't have your seatbelt on and you get ejected out of the car, your chances of not surviving even a slow speed are greatly diminished.
OHP responded to more than 350 crashes during the last winter storm. No update yet on this one.
A massive backup on Highway 69 that left drivers stranded for nearly 9 hours in some cases in Pittsburg County has cleared.
OHP says a crash just before noon yesterday ultimately led to a major backup on the northbound lanes of 69 between McAllister and Eufaula. Troopers say after the crash, so much sleet built up that cars were getting stuck and semi-trailers were stalling because their brakes were freezing. What a mess. We spoke with one woman while she was stuck in the mess last night. She says her normal 20-minute drive home took 3 hours.
Man, when I started out of McAllister and everything was fine, and then I got about 6 miles from my exit, and there it was just shut down.
Goodness, traffic started moving again just before 9 last night. ODOT says crews couldn't get out to clear the roads in that area because of a crash in front of the ODOT yard on Highway 69.
Yeah, that was a big mess for drivers. I was messaging with Melinda last night, and she let me know when she got home because she was stuck and had let me know she was stuck. And it was about 8 o'clock. She left for work sometime around 5. Hard to imagine. All right, 8:47. Let's check in again with Alan Crone in the Bob Mills Weather Center.
So our conditions here in Tulsa, of course, are not great, but compared to our neighbors to the east, I mean, we have a walk in the park right now. I mean, we've got some drizzle and mist and, of course, icy roads, and it's freezing on contact. But the heavier precipitation is shifting east of the Tulsa area, and it is coming down in buckets right now. We have some strong thunderstorms, technically, some even producing some small hail and some heavy rainfall mixed in with sleet. This is going to rapidly pile up and cause deteriorating roadways. So here's the Gore area, Vian, Lake Tenkiller. That's thunder sleet again, thunder freezing rain. Tahlequah, you're kind of in between cells. We're anticipating the next 20 minutes you're going to have some of that. Choctaw back to Muskogee, and then up through the far northern areas. This is going to be around the Grand Lake area and Grove. Now notice Tulsa, from Choctaw back to the west, this is clearing out, so we're not going to have any of this type near the metro, but from basically Highway 69 to the east, this is producing sleet that's going to cover the ground in spots, lightning, thunder. Well, we talked with Vaughn just a couple of minutes ago, and you could barely hear him because he had all the sleet and the rain coming down. He's currently out of that cell, but those roadways have covered up quickly. Bob Roloff is east of the Foyle area. He's kind of in between cells, but again, we're anticipating even in this area soon, that's going to be more problematic. Tim Crone in Eufaula. Let's check in with Tim because he's in Eufaula. Let's get a quick look in the Eufaula area this morning. Tim, what do you have?
Yeah, as you can see in the shot, Alan, the roads are completely covered again with this heavy, heavy band of sleet and freezing rain that just went through. Several lightning strikes. People are moving, but it's a slow go right now down here in Eufaula, Alan.
All right, Tim, appreciate it. J.D. McManus in the Wagoner area. J.D., quick update from you.
Yep, heading east on 51 towards Holbert. Several bands passed through here. Roads have went downhill very fast, and more is coming if you're east of 69. Back to you, Alan.
Yeah, it sure is, and it's coming down in buckets. There's Brandon Wells in the Choctaw area. You can see that little pathway that was clear early this morning. That is now ice on top of it from this activity that's pushing through. This morning, Tulsa Metro, it's mostly freezing rain and drizzle, kind of light. That is not the case to the east. That's rain and sleet that's coming down. Between 11 and noon, most, if not all of this will be out of our immediate area. And then between noon and 2 to 3 o'clock, a little bit of mix, some scattered snow showers later tonight, clearing and cold. Stephen Nair's been tracking the icing potential. It's coming up right along that 69 corridor.
Yeah, unfortunately, and this is the back edge, but it's going to accumulate fast. You've seen that from all of our guys' shots. Now, a lot of that on the roads, but when we talk about freezing rain, the difference between sleet and freezing rain. Sleet, those ice pellets that mainly accumulate on the ground. Freezing rain is that super cooled rain that freezes on contact on elevated surfaces, on trees, on power lines. And that's what we get really concerned with when we're talking about power issues. And so we're going to watch this. Now, fortunately, it won't last more than a couple of hours, but in this kind of pink magenta shaded area, a quick couple tenths of an inch of ice could add up really fast, and that's enough to be impactful and could be more than a quarter of an inch once you get closer to, say, east of Tahlequah, east of Salsa, or towards the Oklahoma-Arkansas state line. Where there's more sleet than freezing rain, another quick quarter of an inch or so of sleet could pile up pretty fast in a few spots. That's going to end fairly fast. And then on the backside this afternoon, some light snow filling back in. Won't be a lot, but there could be a dusting to a half an inch of snow in some spots this afternoon. Temperature of 20, wind chill of 9. Shockingly, it's better than yesterday, but it's obviously still a bitter, cold morning with those north winds. Temperatures teens and 20s. The temperatures have actually climbed into the mid to upper 20s in southeastern Oklahoma as that freezing rain moves through. Wind chill values, of course, still not very nice. So Tulsa, as we just showed you, we're getting on the backside of the heavier precip, but still some freezing drizzle hanging on, some flurries this afternoon. Heavy precip, Highway 69 corridor now. Now, by late morning, fortunately, that hightails it off to the east, and it's much lighter precip this afternoon for all of us. But obviously, the road issues will continue as temperatures will remain below freezing throughout the day for the majority of us, especially northeastern Oklahoma. Tomorrow, still going to be a very cold one for Friday. Lows around 10, highs around freezing. Chilly on Saturday as well, trying to thaw out slowly but surely, but a better warming trend kicks in by the tail end of the weekend.
You had to show us that Wednesday forecast, 72. Thank you very much, Stephen and Alan. Well, coming up in our next hour, we're going to be right here on Channel 6 tracking that winter weather. And of course, if you do have to get out this morning, we will keep an eye on this system for you.
Absolutely. Stephen and Alan are keeping a close eye on it. They're going to let us know how the rest of the morning is shaping up once we come back.
Tulsa's only full-time news helicopter. Osage Sky News 6.
Is your refrigerator making funny noises, or maybe the washer isn't getting the clothes clean? At Hot Appliance Warehouse, we offer 18-month no-interest financing, our low price guarantee, free delivery, and free haul away. Hot Appliance Warehouse, online or in stores, put us to the test.
You had me at Allison 10-speed transmission. Premium features available on GMC Sierra Heavy Duty. Step up to GMC with 0% financing on Sierra Heavy Duty models. GMC, we are professional grade.
Mazzio's New York style pizza is a different kind of Mazzio's pizza. It has a New York style crust, a sauce that's savory with just a hint of sweetness, an East Coast blend of cheeses. It's oh so good. Deliciously different than you expect. Just $8.99. Mazzio's. Get ready for different.
You can't believe everything you hear, like George Washington, but you can believe in big savings during the extended President's Day Super Sale at Furniture Row. Right now, the more you buy, the more you save. Save $100 on every $1,000 you spend. Check out special purchases while they last. Plus, 7 years no-interest financing. Shop the largest selection at the lowest prices, guaranteed. But hurry, the extended President's Day Super Sale at Furniture Row ends soon.
Cox keeps you connected with Cox Internet starting at $29.99 per month. You can enjoy reliable Wi-Fi all over your house when you add panoramic Wi-Fi. Protect your connected devices from online threats with advanced security.
Now 8:55. We want to check back in with our weather experts for one last look at weather right here. I think we got Alan Crone stepping in. So
Yes, we have some crazy, to the least across extreme eastern Oklahoma. Now here's Tulsa. We have a low cloud deck, mist and drizzle, coming down, and it's still going to cause a little issue here. But these are basically thunderstorms producing freezing rain and sleet. And it's a heavy downpour right now, right along this leading edge. These storms, they're basically storms that are moving east-northeast at about 60 to 70 miles an hour. Some good news, because in the next hour, we'll be on the state line moving eastward. But from Tahlequah, Tenkiller, Lake Eufaula area, Wilburton, right up to the Grand Lake vicinity, that will quickly cause your travel to go downhill fast. Lightning and thunder, again, back behind it. Much improved in terms of precipitation. We'll have more, of course, next hour.
Thank you, Alan. And we are staying right here on Channel 6 for our 9 o'clock hour, especially drilling down those road conditions next hour and taking a look at what you can expect.
And additional wintry mix this morning, as Alan mentioned. Alan and Stephen will continue tracking that for us ahead right after the break.
Hey, Steven, it's Brandon. I'm at the Locust Road exit. Did you want me to stop here or continue east a little bit more? Brandon, even though I know it's racing out to the east, we might just take it just a little further east out towards, say, Leech, Little Kansas, just to see Highway 412, and then we'll probably start bringing it back to the west after that. Okay, and since I've been on 412 between Shoto and Locust Road, where those heavier bands have come over 412, everything that was cleared to that one lane is completely covered, iced out, and there's a little slot. Roger that.
Plus.
The final wave of this winter system moves out soon.
First, though, Alan's going to update what type of wintry precip we're seeing this morning. Team coverage throughout the morning.
Oklahoma's own News on 6 starts now with winter weather.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here for our News on 6 at 9 a.m. segment. Happy to have you as we track more winter weather. I'm Leanne Taylor.
I'm Dave Davis. We do want to let you know that we are monitoring new developments in Ukraine where explosions have rocked cities overnight. The U.S. stock market also appears to be responding to that news. We'll bring you up to date on Russia's military operations and how world leaders are reacting.
We begin this hour, though, with Alan Crone. He is updating the weather right now. I know it's varied in parts where, depending on where you are.
Yeah, it is all, highly localized this morning. In the metro, we still have drizzle and mist in spots, and of course, temperatures well below freezing. That's freezing on contact. Thankfully, from Tulsa to the west, it's starting to ease up. We're right on track timeline-wise. This is moving eastward pretty quickly. I'm going to show you the radar. And this looks like a springtime radar display. We've taken the wintry precipitation look off of it so you can see, this is some heavy downpours. We have lightning and thunder. Once again, we have thunder, sleet, thunder, freezing rain, and this is causing quick deteriorating roadway conditions along and east of this line. Now, Tulsa, we're behind this. This is all moving east, but from the Grand Lake area to near Tahlequah, Stillwell, back into this area near Muskogee, and then all the way back down to Quentin. That is heavy downpour activity. Sleet, that's going to pile up a little bit. Freezing rain that would freeze on contact. The Tulsa area, it's mostly freezing drizzle. To the east, you have rain and sleet. By the 11 to noon hour, this is out of eastern Oklahoma. And then through the second part of the day, we'll have just a little bit of snow shower activity occasionally. It'll be clear and cold later tonight. Brandon Wells near Locust Grove and some of that activity. Tim Crow near Longtown, which is along the Highway 9 corridor across the McIntosh County area east of Eufaula. Look at those roadways. They're sleet and ice covered. Vaughn Castor is in one of those heavier cores this morning with the freezing rain and sleet coming down near and north of Gore. Bob Roloff west of Adair, and JD McManus and Hulbert. So conditions are deteriorating along that line just to the east. But the good news, it's moving rapidly east. We're anticipating in the next 45 minutes to an hour, this is going to be right on the state line and moving on out of here. We'll have better news about the weekend straight ahead.
That's exactly what we want to hear. Alan, thank you. We do have crews throughout northeastern Oklahoma monitoring those road conditions, as you saw in those tracker shots, as we deal with this latest round.
News on 6's Cal Day is on the road for us with an update. Cal, what are you seeing?
Dave Land, we are eastbound on the Broken Arrow Expressway, which would be coming up near Broken Arrow, towards Broken Arrow. You can see right here, this is a collision that we understand involves two different cars. This white truck colliding with the wall eastbound on the Broken Arrow Expressway. Tulsa police working this right now. This truck is off to the shoulder, it appears, or maybe just blocking one of the most far left lanes, so traffic is moving pretty normally. What we started to see is a lot of that freezing drizzle here in the last hour, sticking to the windshield, also sticking to the surface. A little bit of a slight glaze starting to appear on some of the roadways, also noticing some slush starting to form on other highways like on 244, but would just advise everyone to take it slow and give yourself plenty of room between the cars in front of you. Back to you.
Eastbound BA, east of 169. Thank you, Cal. We also have a team down south in McAllister monitoring the conditions there. News on 6's Sawyer Bussey joins us with an update.
Hey Dave, so right before this live shot, we actually had a man drive up and drop off some breakfast for us. The generosity of this community just wows us every time. We love working here. But right before this live shot, we also spoke to community-wide hotels here in McAllister who tell us that they're actually pretty booked, which is strange when the weather is like this. And they tell us after that backup on 69 North yesterday, most of those drivers took the first exit they could into McAllister and booked up the hotels here. They just didn't want to drive anymore after waiting so many hours in those lines. And then hotels also tell us that they're having trouble getting employees to work just because the road conditions are rough today. Of course, they don't want to put their employees at risk, so they're having trouble keeping things running as well as they normally do. This is the impact that businesses all over town here in McAllister are having, and drivers. We did speak to McAllister police again, and they tell us still they haven't been working any major accidents overnight or this morning, which is such good news. But lots of crews are helping drivers who are sliding on the ice into ditches, so please be weather aware this morning. We'll pitch it back to you guys.
Thank you, Sawyer. The Oklahoma Department of Transportation says crews were busy yesterday clearing the highways and turnpikes. This round of winter weather could make things hazardous. Obviously, we've seen all morning. ODOT says crews will continue to treat the highways and turnpikes this morning. They say drivers, though, should take it slow.
Drivers were stuck for hours, as Sawyer mentioned, the northbound lanes of Highway 69 near McAllister. That's between McAllister and Eufaula is where it was. A state trooper says it's the worst congestion OHP has dealt with. This was yesterday. The standstill traffic on 69 lasted for nearly 7 hours. Melinda Jewell works in McAllister and was trying to get home to Crowder. Her drive usually takes about 20 minutes, but it took Melinda last night 3 hours.
It's just been nerve-wracking. Knowing that I can't move, you kind of feel like you're helpless.
ODOT and Pittsburg County Emergency Management helped move cars to a safer area, and that is now clear.
PSO says it has nearly 1,000 line workers, tree crews, and other staff that are ready to respond at a moment's notice should we have outages. PSO says that includes 170 line workers from 5 states that will be stationed in southeastern Oklahoma.
EMSA says they've been responding to a number of calls since the winter storm started. On Wednesday, it responded to 11 accidents, 8 cold exposures, 9 falls, and 1 carbon monoxide incident. So far this morning, they say they've already responded to 2 car accidents and 2 exposure calls. That's the latest they've given us. EMSA says if you have to be out, wear good shoes with grip, try to stay sheltered from the wind, layer your clothing. Also, make sure to keep a change of clothes ready if you get wet. Let's look at some video from Vermont now, where icy, snowy roads are not too uncommon, and reminding drivers to slow down.
State troopers stopped to help a family in a car when the SUV headed the other way, hit that slick spot and slid right off the road across the median towards the other 2 cars. See, watch that. coming right at you there. Goodness. There were 2 young children inside that SUV, but they were in their car seats. They're listed as being okay. According to police, a 28-year-old driver who was not wearing a seatbelt thrown from the car, but is expected to recover.
Obviously, that's from Vermont, but it can happen anywhere when you hit a slick spot, maybe going too fast. Alan, it's just a bad situation.
Yeah, especially this morning across our immediate area. We have drizzle, mist around the metro. The good news, our precipitation rate is easing up. We're still going to have some, freezing drizzle and mist on contact in the metro the next hour or two, but it is much lighter compared to what's happening to our neighbors to the east of us. Steven's running the radar. Now look at this. We're taking the what's called the precip mask off to show you just basically the radar instead of the wintry look. These are like almost springtime-like thunderstorms. Heavy rainfall, downpours. They're moving northy miles an hour. And lightning and thunder. So lightning, sleet, once again, heavy downpours, freezing on contact. That will quickly cause the roadways here to deteriorate. I mean, that'll pile up on the road very, very fast. And again, this moving east. So here's Tenkiller, Stillwell, Stigler, and all the way back down to Wilburton. Even Wilburton, McAllister to the east will pick up a little bit of this over the next hour or two. And you can see it's back behind, or the metro is back behind it. So here's Bob Roloff's shot. He is west of the Adair vicinity. And not a lot of windshield wiper action here. He's kind of in between these sails here. Boy, the roadways, look at this. That is just totally ice and sleet covered. And that's just from this morning. Here's Tim Crone near Longtown. Tim, what do you have?
Yeah, you mentioned the ice covered. This whole road went from being relatively clear to ice covered as this bands just continue to go over this area. We're just creeping along here. Haven't seen many other cars, which is a good thing, Alan, but the roads are deteriorate quite rapidly. We're hoping for some improvement shortly.
All right, Tim, appreciate it. JD, McManus, Holbert. JD, give me a quick update. What's the precip rate like when you're in one of these cells?
Moderate to heavy at times, and it's kind of intermittent. I'm out of it right now as I keep poking east on 51 towards Tahlequah. I should run back into one. But, yeah, when you get under one of these, you're going to pick up some quick ice accumulation. Back to you, Alan.
All right, JD. Vaughn Castier near Braggs. Vaughn, good morning.
Yeah, good morning again. Hey, one thing about these, I've been in 2 of these really heavy cells, and the first minute or 2 of it, it's rain, but the rest of it is sleet and heavy sleet. So that's some good news because we don't need that freezing rain, Alan.
All right, Vaughn, appreciate it. Be careful there. Brandon Wells, near Rose. Good morning, Brandon. Quick update.
Well, Alan, yeah, we're eastbound on 412 here, and as you can see, what were relatively clear roads have once again been covered with heavy to moderate to heavy sleet, and there has been some freezing rain in this as well, Alan, but travel is very discouraged along 412. If you have to get out, just take it slow. Back to you.
All right, appreciate all the trackers this morning. AM freezing rain, sleet mix. It's about to wind down. We're anticipating better conditions midday through afternoon. Temperatures 20s. Tomorrow morning, 11 in Tulsa. A sunshine cloud mix tomorrow, 32. Saturday, a system south of us. And yes, we have 50s and 60s Sunday into Monday, and even a 72 on the map for Wednesday.
All right, Alan, it is now 9:10. It's something we've been hearing about for a while, the supply chain issues. Prices rising, shelves are empty.
After the break, John Gold with the National Retail Federation talks to us about what's driving these supply chain shortages. We're highlighting some outstanding Oklahomans for Black History Month.
Opaline Devereaux Watkins, a registered nurse and community leader, organized the first school to train black nurses in the state in Oklahoma City back in 1949. She fought for desegregation of the College of Nursing at the University of Oklahoma and founded the School of Nursing at Langston University.
It's crazy winter in Oklahoma.
Some locally higher amounts of sleet.
The winter storm warnings will continue through tomorrow afternoon.
Winds, sleet, ice, snow. Travis Meyer, Alan Crone, Station Knight, and their trackers keep you ahead.
That sleet coming down.
And the entire News on 6 team brings you unmatched coverage.
It's been off and on light freezing drizzle.
Had about a 5 to 6 mile backup.
Get the advantage over.
How you guys are out just to show some of these long on, but so yeah, you can share background start into just kind of an update on that and microchips obviously when we can expect
semiconductors to kind of come back in, and just kind of generally, what I'd like to talk about is just, I think people are just wondering when this is going to be over and when things get back to normal. So just kind of some general thoughts on that. Is there anything you would like to get into?
No, I think just talking about the current situation. The fact that we're expecting disruption throughout 2022, and companies are trying to do their best to adjust.
And the one thing, because it's a bit controversial, I wanted to talk about the trucker convoy. Is that still impacting supply chain? What's happening there?
Yeah, not that we've seen from the supply chains that we're watching. They've been moved away from the Canadian bridges, so I don't think that's having an impact. I mean, that's not as big an impact as we saw from the other challenges that we're facing.
Okay, great. We just might clarify that then. But, John, and the next time you hear me, we will be live on TV. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Thank you.
T-Town Chevrolet.
Supply chain issues is a phrase that all of us who are living through the pandemic may never forget. Items out of stock on store shelves, at restaurants, for online shopping. These items have, worst case, negatively impacted our lives, but at the least have been an inconvenience. Joining me today on Zoom to talk about the status of the supply chain, what's going on, is John Gold, National Retail Federation's Vice President for Supply Chain and Customs Policy. Good morning, John.
Morning, Dave. Thanks for having me.
I wanted to start off with the specifics. Microchips or semiconductors. We've been talking about, these are used in new cars, laptops, gaming consoles. So how did this shortage all start, and what's the status of it now?
I think in addition to the microchips, just in general, we've just had such strong consumer demand throughout the pandemic that demand has far outpaced the ability to produce and ship those goods as to what's needed to move those goods. So I think with chips and everything else, you just had such strong demand that you don't have enough of the materials to make the chips and to move them, whether it's in a container, on space on a vessel, and running into the congestion issues we're facing. So I think the chip manufacturers are trying to do better at manufacturing more, both abroad as well as opening up new facilities here in the U.S. to catch up with that demand.
And I wanted to kind of zero in on that, facilities in the U.S., because even if a state were to break ground today or start building a microchip factory today, it's not a quick fix, is it?
No, it's not. It's going to take a little while to, one, get the facility up and running, and then also get the trained workforce you need to make those chips. So it's going to take, a couple of years potentially to get that facility fully up and running.
I wanted to talk about the ocean, right? The ports, our ocean ports. And at the beginning of the year, we were seeing a lot of video out of the port of Los Angeles and the stories about, the ships in the Pacific Ocean waiting to get into the port. So I just wanted to update folks. What is the Pacific shipping channel? What's going on there, and when can we expect some relief?
Sure. I mean, throughout the pandemic, we've seen a significant import surge impacting our ports, especially the ports of LA and Long Beach. They're still facing congestion. They still have a number of vessels that are outside of the port waiting to come in. But as we're starting to see some of the congestion abate on the West Coast, we're now starting to see a pickup on certain East Coast ports, including Charleston and New York, New Jersey. We are still looking at strong import numbers coming into the U.S. throughout 2022. We saw a double-digit increase last year. I think this year we're looking at about a single-digit increase. So we're going to continue to see high volumes coming through our ports. And there are some key issues we need to address to alleviate some of the congestion we're facing with the number of empty containers that are still in our ports that need to be moved, the lack of available chassis, which are the trailers you need to move the containers out of the port, and just workforce in general at our distribution centers, for trucking, and everywhere else. So we continue to see challenges throughout 2022.
And I wanted to talk, of course, with you being National Retail Federation. What do retailers do with these things that are out of their control happening, like you said, in Long Beach and Los Angeles? What do you do as a retailer at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I think retailers throughout the pandemic have really been working to address these challenges and plan an appropriate means to shift their cargoes, where they're looking for alternate sourcing, moving away from China to somewhere else, looking at alternate ports, not solely relying on the West Coast, looking at air freight, bringing product in earlier. There are a lot of different avenues that retailers have been taking to try and again, meet that strong consumer demand that we expect will continue throughout 2022.
With the trucker convoy at the Ambassador Bridge, I just wanted to briefly go over this. So from Ontario to Detroit, the bridge had been shut down. Do you expect that to majorly impact supply chain issues throughout the U.S.?
I don't think so. Not for the retail supply chain. From the members we've been talking to, that hasn't had that much of an impact, if any, on them. I know for the auto industry, it's more of an impact for the auto folks, but not necessarily for retail. Now that convoy has been cleared away. I think those bridges are now open and trade is now flowing once again across the bridges.
So just ending it for consumers right now, I think people want to know, when is this supply chain issue going to clear up and my things at the store and my things online are available again on a wider scale?
Yeah, I think that's the $64,000 question everybody's wanting to answer. I think for consumers is continue to be educated, continue to look for your products. Retailers have been doing a lot to ensure that you can find the availability of products when you can go online and look at multiple stores to see what's available. So I think for consumers, continue to understand what's happening, that the supply chain challenges are continuing and retailers are working their way through it, but there are alternative means for consumers to find the products they're looking for.
You may have to just keep on shopping longer than you normally would. Well, John Gold with National Retail Foundation or National Retail Federation, we thank you for your time, Mr. Gold.
Great, thank you.
At 9:19 here on a Thursday, early morning sirens and explosions greet people in Ukraine as Russia begins its invasion. It's just breaking overnight.
A look at some of the damage from the early morning attack. So the last 20 minutes or so, or since Colbert to the east, has all been jet street away. Roger that.
Up to this morning as Russia began invading the country.
Explosions could be heard before dawn in 3 cities there in Ukraine. Right now, Ukraine says that officials say about 40 people have been killed. Russia's President Vladimir Putin warned that if any other country attempts to interfere, there will, quote, be consequences they've never seen, end quote. UN diplomats gathered for an emergency security council meeting, the council's second time this week on Ukraine.
There is no purgatory for war criminals. They go straight to hell, Ambassador.
We're here for one reason and one reason only, to ask Russia to stop.
The Security Council is expected to vote on a resolution against Russia today, but it's unlikely to pass because as a permanent council member, Russia holds the veto power. President Biden says later today he will be meeting with the leaders of G7 and other allies to impose further sanctions on Russia.
Thousands of drivers were seen fleeing from the capital of Kiev this morning. The long lines of cars jammed the roads for miles, while others headed to the train station. The city's mayor urged residents to stay home, but also prepare go bags with necessities and documents to evacuate. This comes as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky calls on citizens who want to defend the country, he says, to go to the capital, where weapons would be issued to everyone who wants them.
We are getting a first look at some of the damage from the attacks. Several vehicles, radar arrays, and other equipment are damaged at a military facility. Ukraine's president has declared martial law, saying Russia is targeting the country's military infrastructure.
The crisis in Ukraine could lead to even higher energy prices here in the States. Fuel prices are creeping higher because the new sanctions on Moscow, high demand in Europe, and limited supply. Barrels of oil pushing $100, almost there. The average gallon of gas, $3.53 nationwide. Let's take a look at the stock market. It was down 800 at the open. Right now, down 600 on the Dow. The NASDAQ down 129. And the S&P also down big.
We'll continue to monitor that and the impact of what's happening overseas throughout the day today and have the very latest coming up this evening. Well, we continue our winter team coverage here in the next half hour. We're going to head down to Henrietta.
Cold temps and slick roads. Alan and Stephen tracking one last round of wintry weather and when it will finally move out of Oklahoma.
As winter weather moves into green country and moves on out, you can always get the latest on your forecast by downloading the News on 6 weather app. Morning, so we are all ready to see it move on out. We continue our team coverage here in the next 30 minutes, and we're glad you're with us. I'm Leanne Taylor.
I'm Dave Davis. We're going to start with Alan Crone. Stephen Nairns, you all have been in there in the Weather Center since, well, before 4 in the morning anyway. Tell us what's going on now.
We've been here for a while, yeah, and we'll be here for a little bit longer. We have drizzle and mist across portions of northern and eastern Oklahoma this morning, but the heavier activity is on the Oklahoma-Arkansas state line area. And good news, that's moving out quickly. Here's Tulsa. We still have the potential for some light precipitation over the next couple of hours between the noon, 2 and 3 o'clock time period. It's just about totally finished with us. There may be a little bit of light precip by the 2, 3, and 4 o'clock time period across northern Oklahoma. A little snow shower activity, but that would be about it. North winds will clear out tonight. Let me show you the radar. Now, we have drizzle and mist in some spots here that's still the potential to freeze on contact. But we want to show you this line of basically thunderstorm activity that is now racing into western Arkansas. This is moving at 70 miles an hour. So over the last day, obviously, we've been kind of showing you the radar with the wintry precipitation look. We've taken that off to show you that these are heavy downpours. Thunderstorms, lightning, thunder, Westville to Stillwell. That's freezing rain and sleet that freezes on contact from 10 killers south to Robert S. Kerr Reservoir and then back to near and east of Eufaula to Wilburton. This, thankfully, is moving pretty quickly at around 60 to 70 miles per hour, so we don't have that heavy precipitation near Tulsa. That's all across the eastern area, so that will deposit freezing rain. The roadways will go downhill quickly. You're going to have some ice and some sleet in there as well, 1/10 to potentially just shy of 1/4 of an inch in this area. Extreme eastern sections in western Arkansas, even higher. And we've already had that glaze this morning near I-44. And yes, that is piling up a little bit of sleet here. That's going to give us a trace up to maybe 1/4 of an inch of additional sleet across extreme eastern sections near Highway 69. By the afternoon, again, very light precipitation tries to develop, a little bit of snow shower activity, but nothing too significant. Brandon Wells is near Rose, and you can see the impact of that last wave that's pushed through. Earlier this morning, those road waves were clear, and now you've got ice and sleet. Bob Roloff near the Adair vicinity, the same thing. Earlier this morning, those roadways were almost clear, and now it's a layer of ice. Von Caster near Braggs in the far eastern sections. Windshield wiper working here still with some of that heavier downpour activity just to the east. Tim Crone near Stigler has been dealing with some precipitation that mostly now is to the east of Stigler. J.D. McManus still slushy roadways in portions of Cherokee and Muskogee County, all through the eastern areas. The winter storm warning technically will remain until the 6 o'clock hour, and then this system is moving on out of here. Slick roads will remain, however. We do have improving conditions. Tomorrow morning we'll start at 11 in Tulsa, near freezing tomorrow. Saturday 40, Sunday 50s, Monday 60s, Tuesday and Wednesday on the verge of 70-degree weather returning.
You had to show that and tease us with it. Thank you, Alan. Our crews, of course, are spread out all across Green Country this morning. We do want to head down to Muskogee.
That's where we find News on 6's Brooke Griffin. Brooke, what's the latest there?
Well, we're still here, and unfortunately so is the ice and all of this just gross weather at this point. Take a look at what we're kind of dealing with in Muskogee. So this is the same intersection that we actually were at yesterday. This is that Military Boulevard, North 32nd Street, near the Quick Trip and all of that area. I wanted to kind of show you, if you guys were watching yesterday and now you're looking at this today, it's just slushy. It is still very, very slick. Those stop and goes are still very difficult at this point. Honestly, it's really just gross on the roads here. You can see that it is still precipitating a little bit. We've had that off and on this morning. We had some pretty big sleet coming down about an hour ago. It actually covered the roads back again in the areas that were kind of clear at one point. So unfortunately, it's still kind of more of the same. We do have the city and county crews out here. I also just saw a plow with ODOT come through. So they are trying to get this area clear. Unfortunately, it really is just a pretty long process at this point. They are trying, but again, if you really can stay home, you should, because it's honestly just a mess down here in Muskogee. Live in Muskogee, Brooke Griffin, Oklahoma Zone News on 6.
Thank you, Brooke. We turn now to our team in Henrietta, monitoring what's happening down there. News on 6's Amy Slanchik been doing a great job for us along the I-40 corridor. Amy.
Hey, Dave. Yeah, for just like 2 seconds ago, there was absolutely nothing falling, and now I'm seeing little tiny flakes. I don't know what it is, but it's coming from the sky. So there we go. There's something coming down. Yeah, right by I-40. I've been in touch with OHP. I talked to a trooper who's actually up in Tulsa and said what he and other troopers are seeing is folks, going about 60 on the highway and not really slowing down enough before getting on to exit ramps. And so that's where a lot of folks are having troubles, is when they're thinking they're done with the highway and then they slip off, and that's where they're running into trouble. So a lot of single vehicle accidents, but nothing too major to report. So that's wonderful news, and haven't heard of any issues here in Henrietta. So we'll continue to monitor conditions, and I think we're going to go get some breakfast and see you guys around noon. Back to you.
That sounds good, Amy. Thank you very much. State troopers say the best thing drivers can do, of course, is to buckle up. It's the law, and slow down.
All of the crashes that we see during winter precip can be mitigated by your speed. If you'll just slow down, create distances. If you're in even a slow speed crash, that is survivable. If you don't have your seatbelt on and you get ejected out of the car, your chances of not surviving even a slow speed are greatly diminished.
OHP responded to more than 350 crashes, they say, during the last winter storm.
One of the tough areas around town that we always see trouble on is Tulsa Hills. And for drivers, when the roads get slick through there, it's really trouble. Our crew saw lots of cars getting stuck there on 71st Street near Highway 75, specifically trying to go up the hill after you've had to make a stop there at those lights. At one point, some Tulsa police officers pulled over, helped push those vehicles that had gotten stuck on the roadway.
New this morning, Tulsa police are investigating an overnight smash and grab burglary at a gas station near 81st and Sheridan. Police say the alarm was tripped about 4:15 this morning and cameras caught someone inside the store. Police say when they got there, the front door had been smashed with the rock, but the suspect was gone. They say cigarettes were stolen. No one was injured. Police say they will review the video to see if it matches any other recent burglaries.
Also new this morning, Tulsa firefighters braved the cold and slick conditions to put out a house fire. It was near Admiral and North Yale. Firefighters say the fire started in the attic. They think it was probably electrical in nature, but that's under investigation. 4 people in the house were able to get out safely. The Red Cross is now helping that family find a place to stay.
The remains of a man who went missing nearly 10 years ago have been found. Gerald Osborne disappeared in 2012. He was last seen in Owasso, and his car was found abandoned near Turley. Deputies say a man hiking near that area last week found the remains. The medical examiner will determine how Osborne died. Deputies say they're glad to be able to return Osborne to his family. If you have any information about the case, call Crime Stoppers at 918-596-COPS.
Washington, D.C. is calling in hundreds of unarmed National Guard troops ahead of planned protests similar to the recent truck blockade in Canada. Some truckers are already heading toward the Capitol, aiming to get there ahead of next week's State of the Union address. The group's planning on going through Oklahoma on I-44 this weekend, with overnight stops in Elk City and up in Veneta. The Pentagon says some 700 National Guard members will be in D.C. in response.
U.S. unemployment has fallen to a 52-year low after another decline in jobless aid applications. The Labor Department reported this morning claims fell by 17,000 last week. In total, about 1.4 million Americans were collecting jobless aid the first week of February, the lowest it's been since March of 1970.
Let's turn our attention back to our weather here in Green Country. Alan's standing by with a look at our weather.
Yeah, let's get it on out of here. All right, we're getting close for the majority of this system to move eastward. Tulsa, still, this will be light precipitation for the metro. It is not the case to the east, right on the Oklahoma-Arkansas state line. These are almost spring-like thunderstorms in a winter environment that are producing sleet, freezing rain, even a little bit of hail. And from Stillwell just to the south north of Sallisaw, that is a strong storm. It's a strong storm east of Westville into Arkansas, and then a small but stout little storm around Robert Esker Reservoir. That's going to produce hail and some sleet and freezing rain. And then back behind it, there could even be a little mixture of maybe some snow shower activity developing. Let's check in near Rose, Oklahoma with Brandon Wells. Brandon, a quick update. What you're experiencing right now?
Well, Alan, we're actually here in Kansas off of 412 and Highway 10. Yeah, we've actually transitioned over to a very light mix of visibility down to about 4.5 miles with the very light snowfall. The roads here in Kansas are once again, there's just
bit after this heavy bands of precipitation have moved through. And we have
so we're just going to stay monitoring it, Alan.
All right, Brandon, and that's Kansas, Oklahoma. Okay, just to keep everybody on track here, Bob Brilloff in Adair, Tim Crone in Stigler, JD and McManus in the Hulbert area, roadway slick, hazardous in spots, Von Caster near Braggs. Still that precipitation coming down. So freezing drizzle, rain, and sleet to the east, and it's moving eastward pretty quickly, Stephen, through the noon, 2 and 3 o'clock hour. A little mix of snow showers, and then later tonight, looks like it's going to clear out and get cold.
Yeah, it will. Thankfully, the heavy stuff is almost out of our far eastern counties, but it has been leaving behind a mess these last few hours. But as Alan mentioned, this afternoon, kind of like yesterday afternoon, we're going to have some lingering flurries, maybe some snow showers, brief dusting of accumulation. So a glaze of ice in spots. We're still keeping an eye where freezing rain has occurred for maybe a quarter of an inch or so of freezing rain ice accumulation on elevated surfaces far southeastern Oklahoma. And there's been a quick quarter to almost near half an inch of additional sleet under this heavy sleet band from about I-40 to the north and east. And then again this afternoon on the backside, not a lot, but kind of like yesterday, some spots could add maybe a dusting or half an inch of snow on top of the ice that we have already. 20 degrees, a wind chill of 9. That hasn't changed very much. And around the metro, temperatures around 20 and then some mid-20s in southeastern Oklahoma. It's a little bit, I won't call it warmer, but a little bit higher temperature-wise where the freezing rain has been ongoing. Wind chill values at least are above 0, if that's saying much. Through the mid to late morning hours, again, the heavy precip moves into Arkansas. This afternoon, we're back to much lighter precipitation, 20s north and around 30 south. And then skies finally clear out tonight. But that means we will be bone-chilling cold back in the low teens again tomorrow morning. And then the rebound slowly occurs, near freezing for our high on Friday. Still pretty chilly through Saturday as well, just a slim chance for precip. And then the much bigger thawing out trend kicks in for the second half of the weekend, especially next week.
Thank you very much. Well, being holed up at home's getting to you. We might have the answer to getting out those frustrations.
After the break, Mia Fleming takes us inside one of Tulsa's rage rooms, where breaking things isn't just encouraged, but part of the fun.
I know all the guys are sure everyone in the same spot. So, yeah, I knew that sooner over time. I'm not going to brag anymore, but the rise of size definitely kind of that's why. We're going to top off with gas, and I guess unless we go back east or west all the way to Apollo, we can go east and then north towards Dallas, and then head home, or what's your thoughts on that? Yeah, we'll probably start pulling most of you guys back. I'm going to check with Travis real quick to see what his thoughts are about how many guys to keep out between now and then. Do a cut-in.
Rooms set up for you to intentionally break things while having fun are becoming all the rage.
For this week's Good Life list with Mia Fleming, she's taking us on the adventure of recreational destruction. It's called a break room or rage room, where you can break anything that you want, and you might just feel a release of emotions or energy you didn't even know that you needed.
Before we go all the way here, let's find out how all of this got started.
2020 was so hard on everybody. Whenever you did get a date night, there was really nothing new to do. So one night I made the comment to my wife, like, hey, man, I wish there was some place where we could go and just break stuff and just get all of our frustrations out. And she pondered on it for about 2 weeks and came to me and said, you know what, I've really been thinking about what you said, and I think we should look into it.
Tennessee says a few months later,
have y'all heard about this new place called Breaking Point?
And Breaking Point opened its doors. He was ready to have some fun.
Tennessee with Breaking Point. I got Pork Chop here. You ready to come break some stuff? Just give me and him a call. See you there.
This is my first time seeing what these break rooms or rage rooms designed for destruction are all about.
Shield. Glasses.
Safety first.
Back. And I'm ready.
Then you get to choose your experience.
Do you like loud? Do you want to see it explode? So that way we could kind of point them in a direction of what's really going to have their experience amazing for them.
Oh my gosh! I love this. I want to smash everything. No, I'm kidding.
We developed Breaking Point for the date nights, the fun company gatherings, but 90% of the people that come are actually sent by their therapist.
He says a good life lesson in how following what's in your heart just might lead to an unexpected purpose. For Tennessee and his wife, they found purpose in helping others.
And we've had anniversary of a loved one's death. We've had a divorce party. That was really cool, you know, from getting laid off to a job or just COVID in general. Or we have ways in the room where you can name the stuff you're breaking. So if you're dealing with anything going on in your life, you know, years before, stuff that you're really holding on to, you have an opportunity to go inside and visually see yourself break through that barrier.
Although I couldn't think of anything to name at the time, there was a release that was hard to even put into words.
The stuff that people are going through, you can definitely tell a difference before they go in, and then whenever they come after, just that sign of relief. And what's awesome is they're always like, thank you so much. I didn't realize how much I needed that.
Each time he sees someone really benefit from this experience, he says it's his confirmation he and his wife did the right thing.
Opening up a small business during a pandemic, like, is our community going to support us? Are we doing the right thing? And then whenever they come out and you can just see the relief in their face, it pays more than anything. Just know we're able to help just that little bit.
That leads us to the final good life lesson today.
Whenever that voice in your heart, in your mind is telling you to do something, to take the risk and do it, because it'll pay off in the end.
Ah, now that's the good life.
Good to hear Mia laughing through all of that. To see the latest Good Life List segments, you can log on to newson6.com. You can also make your challenges there for her if you have some suggestions or ideas.
That could get intense. Well, some Tulsans are trying to stay active despite all the ice and snow. You won't believe some of this. After the break, we'll take a look at how they braved the cold and got in their outdoor workout.
Also, more snow and ice coming for parts of Green Country right now, moving on out, hopefully. And then we'll get some more on the weather with Alan right after this.
It's more expensive than ever to fill your cart.
Sheridan, Emery, and Cal were both there yesterday. This is an impressive balancing act to keep the bike upright on the slick sidewalks while being pelted with sleet out there. Oof. He did give our cameras a wave, and I guess everything's hunky-dory.
Look at those tires, though. Tess mentioned this earlier. It looked like he may have had some kind of a covering or something that might have given him extra traction.
Do we have snow chains
Yeah,
for mountain
that's
bikes
like,
now?
snow tires.
Okay.
So that's not the only person out trying to get some exercise. As I drove through my neighborhood yesterday, I noticed this young woman. Now let's have the audio up on this because you're going to be able to hear me randomly talking to a stranger.
I have to ask, why? It's a blizzard. I don't know. Just have to keep training?
Just had to
All
get
right,
out.
good job.
I'm sure she thought, well, look at this creepy lady who's stalking me in her car.
And who are you?
But watch her gait was amazing. I mean, she is running so sure-footed. I was very impressed, but, you know, I just was like, huh. I just didn't, when I turned the corner, I did not expect to see someone jogging through the neighborhood.
Looks like she's at least a supporter of the Army Golden Knights there with her sweater, so there you go. All right. Our emails have been flooded with weather pictures from our viewers. It looks like some are having fun out there, including lots of our pets and
A lot
animals.
of animals. Yeah. Take a look. One viewer, Bonnie Kerr in the Pensacola area, sent this in. These are cows, but see, look, that's Bear, her puppy. Says Bear loves the weather much more than the cows do, and certainly much more than Bonnie does. But boy, I tell you, cattle in this type of weather, it is hard going, especially when those ponds freeze over, or you've got to make sure the water tanks are unfrozen, making sure all those animals get the necessary
They can get something to drink.
Yeah.
Let's hunt on over to Florida. Let's go down to Florida. Let's get away from the cold for a little bit. We'll show you some video you might like. A massive hammerhead shark paid a visit to a group of paddleboarders.
Ooh.
This wasn't included in the excursion price, I don't think.
Yikes.
Evan Parnas was flying his drone over the water in Palm Beach, taking video of the paddleboarders, when this large shark approached the group. Obviously a hammerhead, you can see it there. Parnas says it was amazing to see how big this shark is next to those paddle boards, and he's just thrilled, of course, to have captured this moment. You never know what you're going to see on a drone, and that is big. I guess I didn't know how big hammerheads could be. I mean, that's gigantic.
Alan, it's nice to see the warm weather pictures because I know we have that in the future for us.
Yeah, around the corner. Florida, it sounds good. Minus the shark there. Drizzle mist around the metro, but the heavier shower activity now still producing sleet, small hail, freezing rain, 10-killer Stigler eastward, moving eastbound, but you're still going to have some travel issues this morning. We'll be here to keep you up to date. Stephen has an update at noon today. Be safe, be cautious.
Tomorrow at News on 6 at 9 a.m. A lot coming up. Friday Flicks, Leanne and I talking about the man, the legend, John Madden, and a documentary on his life that was released just days before he died. I think it's an incredible story.
Look forward to giving our 2 cents on that. And we've waited all week. A baby's first word, not mama, not daddy, Alan. Alan. We have the video to prove it. See you tomorrow.
Is your refrigerator making funny noises, or maybe the washer isn't getting the clothes clean? At Hot Appliance Warehouse, we offer 18-month no-interest financing, our low price guarantee, free delivery, and free haul away. Hot Appliance Warehouse, online